Let me present. All right. So my name is Patrick Dooley. I'm the lead electrical engineer at the GCGV chemical plant located in Gregory, Texas. A little bit about me. I grew up in Portland, Texas. My family moved here in 1994. Graduated from GP.
Go on, Pat.
There you go. Graduated from GP in 2006. Went away to college. Joined Exxon in 2010. I've worked for Exxon now for 14 years. It'll be 14 years in June. And in 2020, I had the opportunity to return to the Coastal Bend to support the GCGV project at the time. And I'm stayed on working as the lead electrical engineer for the manufacturing facility. So before we get to the Peacock project, I hope to give you just a brief overview of GCGV. My goal is that you leave here tonight knowing and you can answer these questions. What is GCGV? What do we do? Why do we do it? And how do we do it? So that's my goal from this presentation. So first, what is GCGV? So GCGV stands for Gulf Coast Growth Ventures. And the reason we named it that is because it's a joint venture between ExxonMobil and SABIC, two global scale chemical companies. ExxonMobil and SABIC have a 40-year history working together. We have multiple joint ventures with SABIC in Saudi Arabia. And then this is SABIC's first joint venture chemical facility in the United States. GCGV, however, is operated by ExxonMobil, so the majority of the employees are ExxonMobil employees. And we operate it 365 days a year, 24/7. We're running all the time. So what do we do? So GCGV is the world's largest steam ethane cracker. What does that mean? Right? So we take in natural gas, primarily ethane, from West Texas shale gas. We heat it up, we compress it, and then we break apart the molecules into ethylene. And that's about as deep as I can get because I took chemistry once at GP. And I was 16 years old at the time. We then take the ethylene and we send it to our derivative units. We have a polyethylene or a PE unit, and then a monoethylene glycol or a MEG unit. So those are our two derivative units. We then ship the PE out via plastic pellets via rail, and we ship the MEG out via pipeline to the Vopak terminal in the La Quinta Channel, and then eventually it's loaded onto ships and shipped out to customers. GCGV sells the product to our joint venture partners. So we sell it to ExxonMobil and SABIC because they remain competitors in the marketplace for obvious antitrust reasons. They still compete against each other in the marketplace, but we sell to both of them, which is kind of a unique setup for our facility. So what does that actually mean for all of us? So yeah, we make PE and we make MEG, but what that means is everyone in this room, we touch these products in everyday life. Everything from polyester shirts. So if you wear like a Nike dry fit shirt, it's polyester fiber. We use food grade plastics like saran wrap that help increase the freshness and the shelf life of food, agricultural film, and even medical grade supplies like polyester gowns and plastic syringes. So the end products of what we create go into products that make our everyday life better. So how do we do it? So this is our site vision. So this guides everything we do at the site, and this is what we hold ourselves accountable for as a plant team. So our site vision is to be a world-class facility making products that enhance the quality of life. And we strive to be the safest plant in the world, the best neighbor in the community, the most competitive plant in the region, and a great place to work. So who does all this? So our workforce is about 600 employees that live here in the Coastal Bend. So a lot of them are probably your neighbors. Like I said, I live in Portland. I have colleagues that everywhere from Robstown all the way up to north of the Amathus, right? We're embedded into the community. There's about 400 ExxonMobil employees, and there's about 200 embedded contractors. And during the day, during a normal weekday, like today on Monday, there's about 300 people that work at the site. And then obviously we work 24/7, so we have anywhere from 35 to 40 people at the site on weekends and during night shift. So going back to our vision pillar on best neighbor in the community, we issue an annual community report every year. And this is a snapshot from our 2023 sustainability report. And just to highlight a few things, we talked about our air monitoring program, which is in Portland. So I believe we have the brochure outside, but if you didn't see it, if you live in San Patricio County, you would have got one of these in the mail, but I think we have a few outside. But this is a really good program that we partnered with the University of Texas in Austin, and we, GCGV, and I believe Cheniere, paid for 3 air monitoring stations. One where I went to elementary school. Well, no, it's no longer there, but at East Cliff Elementary School. One by the high school and one in Gregory. And UT Austin takes the data and they, completely independent, analyze the data and they issue the report. So everything in the report is independent, independent data analysis that talks about the air quality in the area. And I think the result of it is there has been no significant increase in air quality since GCGV has started up and Cheniere, who started up earlier in the mid-2010s, I believe. We also talked about Project Peacock, which we'll go into more detail here, but this was kind of our first public, not advertisement, but we shared it with our local neighbors. So tied to that best neighbor vision pillar, we have our good neighbor program. So everything we do from a good neighbor standpoint is tied to one of these 4 buckets, which are health and safety, education, workforce, environmental stewardship, and quality of life. From an environmental stewardship, we take it very serious to be stewards of the environment from the various whether it's foundations that we support or activities that we do. In addition, we volunteer in the community from various things from Habitat for Humanity, United Way, various volunteer events throughout the year that me and my fellow employees participate in. But we're here today really to focus on environmental stewardship. So this is where I'm going to hand it over to Barb with Lightsource BP, Barb Jacobs with Lightsource BP, and she's going to talk about our project, our Peacock Solar project, which is a very exciting project for both Lightsource BP and for Exxon. So Barb, let me get you set up.
Perfect.
Oh no.
I think they've got it open and we just need to hit
this one. So, cancel. There we go.
there. Hooray.
Avoid the security alert. All right, Barb, take it away.
Excellent. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. So my name is Barb Jacobs, and if you haven't noticed already, you will shortly. I have an accent because I'm from Minnesota and grew up in Wisconsin. I work for Lightsource BP and am based in Minnesota, but we cover the whole country, and I'll get to that in just a second here. So Lightsource BP, I'm going to start with a little background about the company, and then we'll jump into the meat of our super cool project. So Lightsource BP is a joint venture between a solar company called Lightsource Renewable Energy and BP. So joint venture just means that the 2 companies formed a new company that they share together. However, BP is buying the remaining shares of the company, and we are going to be a wholly owned subsidiary of BP this summer. So we're really excited about that. The map here represents all the places where Lightsource BP has solar facilities that are operating or under construction or in our development pipeline. As you can see, we're in a lot of different states. So we're in about 24 and building every day. We have, as you can see, a lot of little dots in Texas. We've really been very enthusiastic about investing in Texas. Texas is a really great place to do business, especially if you're an energy company. So we are very excited to be here. Here's a little detail, more detail about what our operating projects in Texas look like. So as you can see, we've got 3 projects under construction and 3 that are operating. Peacock is one of those that's under construction right now, and we're aiming to be done with construction this year. Our first project in Texas is Impact Solar up in Lamar County. I believe Impact was completed in 2021. So we're one of the early movers on solar energy in Texas. And as you can see, we've got a pretty healthy sized project pipeline. So the meat of the matter, what we are here to talk about tonight, Peacock Solar is the solar project that we are building that is going to connect with GCGV's facility. So the project is actually going to be owned by BP, and the energy is being sold to GCGV. And we're actually connecting the solar facility with a long transmission line that goes from our substation all the way to the GCG substation. So it's just like a long straw. It's going right into the facility, and where they can use it for all the things that they do. The type of facility that we're building, that where it connects directly to another facility and that energy is used on site, is called behind the meter project. And that just means that the energy is going to direct use at the facility and not kind of going out onto the larger grid before it gets there. And it's one of the largest facilities like this in the country. We're really proud of that. And I'll just say that I'm particularly excited about this project because it's a very interesting mix of different energy sources that all work together to help make our lives better and keep us warm and clothed and with lights on and all that good stuff. So the project is, in addition to delivering power to GCGV, it's also going to deliver tax revenue to the community. As you can see from the slide, there's quite a bit of tax revenue, $25 million over the lifetime of the project will go to the community. Some other benefits of the project are that we're using special ultra low carbon solar panels from First Solar, which is an American solar manufacturer. And we're also planting 1,200 acres of pollinator habitat under and around the panels. So because the panels, it's just like they sit up high on a pylon, and all that space underneath is open. And so you can plant all sorts of different things. As I mentioned, we're doing pollinator habitat, but also the vegetation that we're going to be planting there. We have a special seed mix so that the sheep that we're going to have on site can graze. So we're one of the largest solar grazers in the country, which if you haven't heard of solar grazing, don't feel bad. But we have several facilities in operation. In fact, in Texas, we have several facilities where we have sheep that we use to maintain the vegetation. And there's even a little video at the end of my slide deck that we can get to, or folks can check out after the presentation on their own time. So here's a overhead view and plan of the project. That purple outline shows the area that we are leasing, and the area inside the purple line with the white kind of rectangles. That's actually where the solar panels are. That little black squiggly line, that's that transmission, the 10-mile transmission line that I mentioned earlier that goes straight from the solar facility to GCGV's facility. We're going to have about just shy of 400,000 solar panels, which comes out to be about 150 megawatts AC or 187 megawatts DC. So pretty large energy output for that. And it's expected to be in operation for 40 years. One kind of little interesting tidbit about solar panels is that they last a very long time. Their output slowly degrades over time, but even at the end of the 40 years, those panels will still be working. They just won't be at the same output as the first day that we installed them. As I mentioned, we're currently in construction, hoping to be done with construction later this year. And as you can guess, from a project that has almost 400,000 solar panels, we have a lot of people on site doing construction. So for a facility this size, we should have several hundred people on site. This one, we have about 300 construction staff helping to put all the bits and pieces together. As I mentioned, we're also paying about $25 million in local property taxes over the course of the lifetime of the facility. And folks, if anyone has, well, I know we said to wait for questions, but if you have anything burning, it's okay. I don't mind if you interrupt me. So some other important things for you all to know, we get a lot of questions about what happens when the solar panels break or when they're done at the end of their life. What do you do with them? Well, at Lightsource BP, we have a recycling commitment. All of our panels are recycled, no matter if they get broken accidentally during construction or they make it all the way to the end of the 40-year life and they need to be dealt with. They don't go into a landfill. Solar facilities are, there's actually a high amount of recyclable materials on site, as you can see from the slide here. A lot of glass, a lot of aluminum. There's also, as you can imagine, it's not on the slide here. This is just for the solar panels, but the racking and the pylons that hold the panels up are steel, which is very valuable and recyclable product. We make sure that all of the panels that we use, in addition to committing to recycling them, we also make sure that they're not toxic. So there's a special test that you can do, the TCLP, or toxic characteristic leaching procedure that the EPA does to see how products will behave in a landfill environment. So even though we're not landfilling any of our panels, we do the test just to make sure that we're not introducing inadvertently things that are bad for humans and animals and plants with our facilities. And so all of our all of our panels go through TCLP testing and pass them. Finally, with our recycling, we vet our recyclers through SIA, which is the National Solar Industry Group, and they have a special program for vetting recyclers to make sure that they do right and are good stewards. As I mentioned, we have we've got a lot of solar projects in Texas. We really love building facilities here for a whole bunch of reasons. But also our facilities are a really good part of the energy mix in Texas. So, you know, there's been a lot of talk about making sure that the grid is resilient. We're really proud of the fact that during Winter Storm Uri, the one project that we had built at that time, Peacock Solar, the first one that I mentioned was completed in 2021, was operating and producing power through most of the storm. Also during the summer of 2023, we had 3 projects online that were operating and putting energy onto the grid. And again, just this winter with Winter Storm Heather, our projects were operating at 99% availability, which is very, very high. Sheep. So this is one of my favorite parts of our projects. Not every project gets sheep, but many of them do, and several of them in Texas already have sheep. The sheep can do sort of a variety of purposes, but the main one is to help maintain the vegetation. So they're like lawnmowers. Sheep also help restore soil fertility, and also, you know, the farmers like to be able to use the land in you know, extra productive ways. So we'll keep going here a little bit more about sheep and solar grazing. So as I mentioned, we are the largest solar grazer in the country, or I guess more accurately, the company with the largest number of solar facilities with sheep grazing on them. And in fact, one of my coworkers founded the American Sheep Grazing Association. Also, if you haven't heard of it, don't feel bad. She's really a super amazing person, and if you watch the movie at the end of the slide deck, you'll get to see her talk. As I mentioned also earlier, Impact Solar in Texas here has several hundred sheep on site, and it's a year-round grazing operation. It's one of the largest year-round sheep grazing at solar facilities operations in the U.S. And we're excited that we're going to have sheep at Peacock too. So here is the link. I don't know if maybe I could leave the slides here for folks to watch later, or I don't know if we're feeling daring, we want to try watch the movie. Do we feel like either technology? Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. Oh. It's not. Let's try one more time. I just right click and,
Link, but it looks like it's on the, or you could right click and paste it. Just want you to play.
oh, sure, yep,
Yeah, want you to play it on YouTube.
okay.
Try to keep you around.
Oh. That is not. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's angry.
Barb, you can, if you go back to the internet, you can just go to YouTube and type in Lightsource.
Sure.
It's just a YouTube video.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I think it was already open several times.
Yeah.
Try hitting control on the keyboard and then clicking it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it works.
Well, we'll get, I'll just, kind of cruise through the slides and then we'll figure out the audio visual here. So, Impact Solar, you've heard me talk about this one a couple times now. It's been in operation since 2021. It is owned by Lightsource BP, but the power we have sold to BP, which is a little confusing since they're going to own us soon. But the private investment that we even put into that facility is $272 million. So these facilities are pretty big private investments. As I mentioned, it's the largest year-round solar grazing operation in the U.S. And it abates a lot of carbon dioxide. We've got Briar Creek, which is in Navarro County. A little bit smaller facility, but still really cool. We've got solar that, we've got sheep grazing there. We also have beekeeping. And then finally, Elm Branch Solar is our project, our third project in Texas that's been in operation since 2021. That one also has sheep. So with that, I can go back and see if we can get this video going. And there we go. Oh, there we go. Let's see, I'll do. We'll just do this one. Okay, hooray! Oh, all right. All right, thanks. I'm sorry, I promised you sheep and I chose the wrong video, but that's a good one too, so. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. Can I answer any questions for anyone? Patrick, did you want to come up now?
I had a question. Are there any other areas in the area where it would be good for solar?
Yes, well, actually, we have a second solar facility that's like immediately adjacent to Peacock, that we're working on, and as it happens, through the course of, development, our developer got feedback, from some local folks that, they didn't want panels in a certain area. So we were able to actually swap land between projects, which does not happen that often, but shows kind of a dedication to making sure that we're responsive to local interests and needs.
Is that a similar size facility?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I agree.
I have a question. When will the Peacock be active, or is it already producing?
No, it's still in construction.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be later this year.
June-ish,
Okay.
construction complete, and then we roll into commissioning with ERCOT. We have to prove that they're a generator, right? So they have to follow the ERCOT regulations. So they have to, it's a whole checklist of tests that we have to go through to prove that once it's online, it's not going to negatively impact the grid. But it is a 150 megawatt generation that ERCOT would like to get onto the grid as soon as possible.
In this area, coastal plain is very flat, and a lot of the fields actually hold water, nature of the soils. Those water features in some of those fields, valuable wildlife habitat, migrating birds, ducks, geese, etc. Is there any conversion of those spaces within these projects to fill those in, use them for solar space, or have areas within these solar fields that retain those functional features?
The original land use is a farm, so that's what it was being used as before the solar facility went in. And I'd say with the addition of the pollinator habitat, it'll have year-round vegetation, which is very good for what you're talking about, actually, retaining water in the land and getting it to soak into the ground. So it was farmed land.
Incorporate a little bit more diversity, habitat, grazing land, other kinds of diversity.
Yeah, well, we design our seed mixes specifically for diversity, biodiversity on all of our projects. This one is no exception. We do have to be careful that we're seeding for plants that are not harmful to the sheep. So apparently, there are things that are bad for sheep, like milkweed, for instance. We can't have milkweed on site, so it'll make them sick. But we do the native. We try to use native seed when we can, also to make sure we're not just like putting turf grass down, so it gets deep roots and also helps improve soil health.
One more question. Assuming that all of these are designed to stand hurricane force winds.
Yes.
Through what category?
We have to build our solar facilities to the International Building Code Standards Risk Level 2. I think for Peacock, because of our proximity to the ocean, I believe the wind rating is 140 miles per hour. In addition to meeting building standards and such, our facilities are worth a lot of money, and our investors insist on wind rating.
Investment blowing away the wind.
Exactly, yeah. And we have, we get insurance on our, as you can imagine, on our facilities, and they also have resiliency requirements too.
I think the power lines are Cat 3 at 130, 140. I think that's what that, I don't know if that would be. I remember seeing that. But again, it's just, that's pretty standard for utility lines. So if you have a big Cat 5 coming through, it's going to knock down poles no matter how robust you build them.
Big
Right.
flat panels.
Yeah, well, that's funny. I don't know if you caught it in the video, but the ones that have at Peacock, and I think all of our facilities in Texas have this too. They're called trackers. So they move the panels throughout the day to follow the sun, but they have a second purpose in that you can use them to manage risk from the weather. And so you can turn them so they are less apt to get, pulled off in the wind. And actually, you can kind of like this. And then also you can turn them so they're more vertical. So if there is hail, the hail it won't be a direct hit like, a softball on a pancake. But, like this, so they just kind of ricochet off.
You referenced that the source is going straight to the plant. I mean, the power is going straight to the plant, but you also referenced period when your panels were supporting homes in a weather condition. How are we?
Oh, sorry. That's a little confusing. It was a different facility.
Right. It was a different facility, right? Because we're not online yet. But I was just wondering if are we going to have that opportunity in a crisis weather storm situation here?
I see.
Will you all be able to help offload if we needed it in this area?
Oh, I see. Our other facilities will, and we're all they're all connected to the grid. Those 3 facilities that are in operation, the energy just goes right out to the grid. And then our the newer project that we're developing right next to Peacock, that one, depending on who the off-taker is or the person that purchased the power is, that one might too.
So for GCGV specifically, for Peacock specifically, it's a 150 megawatt AC plant. That's the nameplate rating. The hottest day in August, it's probably going to be producing 126, 130 megawatt worth of power. GCGV does not consume that much energy. We are roughly 92 to 100, depending on time of the year. So during the hottest peak summer weather, there will be a delta. So GCGV is buying 100% of the solar. We're only consuming 80% of it. So the rest of it, the 20% of it, will be sold into the deregulated market by our power and gas marketing teams. So yeah, there will be a delta worth of power being sent into the grid when we're at peak production. And then obviously, if we're in like a turnaround or an outage where a big chunk of our load is offline, then that delta is just going to increase. So yes, during normal operation, there will be power being sent into the grid. But the biggest, I think one of the biggest values to the community is, I'm sure you all get text messages from your electric utility company that says, please conserve power, don't run your dishwasher, don't run your laundry, right? So that's because the grid in itself is under strain, right? We have too much demand, not enough generation. Well, during those times, it's usually at 4 to 6 p.m. In the middle of summer. GCGV, so we'll be consuming all of our power from the Peacock Solar plant. So when this is up and running, we will take a huge chunk of energy, 100 megawatts, which is, depending on which number you use, somewhere between 26,000 and 34,000 average homes that we're taking off of the normal grid and we're consuming directly from Peacock. So that's the value from a community perspective, is that during those peak consumption times, our site is having our own dedicated generator, and we're not consuming from the generators here local to the Corpus area that are feeding houses and hospitals and public support, stuff like that. So that's one of the big takeaways and values of this project from a community perspective.
How long did it take to get this, I guess, like from development to finish? Like, what's the timeline? 2 years?
So this project was brought to us by a company before Lightsource actually acquired the company that originally proposed it to us. And ironically, I was working, it was during Winter Storm Uri. My house was out. I didn't have power. I was at my parents' house. And I got a phone call. Hey, we want to add solar power to the GCGV plant. Like, I'm listening. So that was in February 2021 was the first phone call that I took for this project. And now it went from initial stages. I went on vacation later that summer, and Lightsource had acquired 7X because all of a sudden all the meetings were Lightsource BP, and I was like, who is Lightsource BP? Then once we got the power purchase agreement, the actual power contract in place, then if you remember the image from Taft to Portland, we had to work the land, basically the land control, which was the land for the solar panels and then the easements for the 138 kV transmission line. And that was a challenge just because I don't know if you're ever bored, you could go look at who owns all the land in Texas. It's just little pockets of land everywhere, and Lightsource had to negotiate their easement rights with multiple landowners. So that was a challenge, but we've gotten through that. We've gotten into construction, and so it's been 2021 to 2024, so almost 3 years now.
Yeah. And then even before that, so Seth, the developer of the project, he works at Lightsource now. Before that, he worked at 7X, that company you mentioned that we acquired. And before that, Seth was working as a consultant on the project. So, and I asked him before I came, I was like, how long were you working on this? And it's been, at least 5 years, if not more. But it is, one of the challenges of developing solar facilities for a company like Lightsource. We're not a utility, so we don't have power of eminent domain, which means that all of our landowners are coming willingly to the table. That holds true for our generation, the Gentie, or that transmission line, the 10.5-mile transmission line. We had to, I think Seth told me that they went through 12 different routes or something for that transmission line because there was
a period where I was getting a lot of megabytes worth of emails.
Yes.
Will this work? Snapshots of will this work? Will this work? Will this work?
Yeah, so-and-so doesn't want it on there, so you're kind of winding around, which is why.
That's why if you were to look at the map, you're like, well, why don't you just drop out of Taft, go down 181 and then drop into the plant? Well, that was the original plan, but then you have to get the right to install a power pole or whatever on someone's land, and that just takes time to work. Sure.
What is your other primary source? You operate off the grid, or you have your own internal?
Currently, right now, we are 100% off the AEP power grid. So we have two 138 kV lines that come into the site. It was an existing line from Ingleside to White Point. They basically cut it in half. AEP put a substation on our site, which we consume power from, and then we get the feeds now from Ingleside. We have 4 backup generators on site, but they're just to keep emergency services on. They're not enough. No. The cogens are generally where you have like refineries, where you have you're refining crude and you have the natural off gas is where it becomes is where you typically see them. So like I'm assuming some of the big refineries, I can't speak to them, but I'm assuming some of the big refineries in the port have
cogens. That you're using gas as your feedstock. Have the gas source as a cogen.
Yeah, so I worked in our Baton Rouge facility, and we had one of the U.S.'s, I think one of, if not the U.S.'s biggest refinery, and then it's in all of its pipe stills, the refining pipe stills, there was streams of natural gas, and they just sent it literally across the street to the Baton Rouge olefins cracker, which is what we have. We just don't have the refinery front end to produce that in-house. So, and then that's where then they have all the cogen facility associated with that equipment. So, but no, we don't have any generation on site, any meaningful generation. We have, basically we take 100% off the grid.
And Sherman.
Do you have, is there battery storage associated with this project?
There is not. That was not designed into the project.
I have two questions. One, do you actually have to acquire the land from the landowner, or do you like lease it out?
It's a lease. So the solar farm is a lease, 40-year term, I believe is what it is. So after 40 years, if the landowner decides, I don't want to re-up, panels get removed and you're back to fertile, probably more fertile farmland. The power lines though are easements, which I can't really speak on the legal aspect of that, but I'm assuming if we're demoing the lines, the easement then goes away and it's back to the landowner. So I don't think Lightsource buys any of the land. It's all leased, correct?
Yeah, I'm not for this project. We can in some instances, but mostly it's leasing, yeah.
And the other question is just out of curiosity, where did the name Peacock come from?
That is a great
You know that one?
question. No, I should have asked.
So 7X.
I know.
So 7X, in all fairness, before Lightsource got involved, 7X, the previous company, they named all of their solar projects after constellations,
Oh,
not birds. Apparently, it's a peacock constellation.
No.
So, yes. But fun fact, AEP. So AEP is the third business partner in all this because they're kind of the, I won't say the middleman, but they're the transmission distribution company. They already had a Peacock project. So the AEP project was named Jackalope. So
oh,
trying to explain to our management team that the Jackalope tie-in at the substation for the Peacock project. So it was, yeah. So there's a handful of animals involved in this project. Any other questions?
was there a completion date that I missed going in and out?
This year, right? You said this year's completion.
Well, that's construction. Yeah, targeting operation, commercial operation, fourth quarter of this year. That was what the target is.
How often are you having to recycle panel or a collection panel? And I'm curious to know where you're recycling that glass, because it's not, we don't do that here.
Yeah, good questions. So she asked, how often do we have to recycle a panel? And it's not often. So we plan for breakage in the shipping and construction, but it's like less than 0.5% of the overall panels on site. Once it's in operation, it's does not happen that often that a panel breaks. The panels are actually made from reinforced glass, like the glass that you have in your windshield. It's extra hard, and then it's got a piece of plastic in the middle that kind of holds it together. So they're pretty strong, and withstand hurricane force winds. So they don't break that easily. But things like being run into with a lawnmower would break it, or a lawnmower kicking up a rock would do that.
It's more likely to crack than it is to completely shatter.
Yeah, but they don't. You're right, and they don't shatter because they're not like dropping a wine glass where it's like your car windshield where spider web, right? Yep. And the time really when there would be the most recycling would be at the end of the facility's life. And since we have a commitment to recycle all panels, At the beginning of a project, we sign a recycling agreement with a recycler to make sure that they not only manage the breakage through the course of construction, but also the end of life. There are a number of facilities in the United States that do solar panel recycling, including at least one in Texas. And the one in Texas, gosh, I want to say it's in West Texas, maybe by Abilene. But it's called Solar Cycle. And yeah, I had somebody that I know just toured Solar Cycle and said that they purportedly can recover, it's like over 95% by weight of all the materials in the solar panels.
So who's doing the maintenance on this? Your company, your employees, or?
Yes, we hire, we either do it ourselves or we hire like a third party to do the maintenance, but it's really, there's one of the nice things of a solar facility is that most of the activity and investment is upfront. It's actually building it, and once it's operating, it's pretty quiet. Not a lot happens. There's not a ton of maintenance to do. The grazer and the sheep are really going to be, they're the ones that are going to be on site the most. And for those, we try to hire grazers that are local to communities where we have the projects. And as far as there's enough sheep in the area, sometimes there aren't, because the sheep industry in the United States has been shrinking.
Yeah, the solar shepherd is, I think, local to Taft, is, I believe, for this project, yes, so.
They shave them in the summer.
Come in and shear.
Well, I learned this, not all sheep are wooling sheep,
Oh, okay.
they're South Texas sheep.
They're
Same
very
thing.
light
I was like, oh, I lived in Canada. I was like, I love wool. And then her colleague Seth corrected me. Oh no, they're not wooling sheep. So,
Is there any market value for the sheep? I mean, they're gonna mass produce, I would think. There'll be an overabundance of them or anything.
I don't
What
know.
options are
Yeah.
Like
You know,
it.
we eat it, or they.
there? Oh,
I do not know.
grow local.
Yeah.
Hey, I was
Thinking
curious.
about trying to take a break for maybe kids who are.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's something.
I had a question, but I think you answered it, but I'm not sure, and that was, is GCGV going to be fully dependent or supplemented by AEP or another power source, or you're going to be able to run GCGV all the time?
Yeah, so like today we run at about 92 megawatts of power. And during the hottest days of the year, once the solar plant's up and running, it'll produce about 120 to 130. The nameplate's 150, but there's always efficiencies that kind of come into that. So yes, during the peak of the day, we will be running 100% off solar. Now, we're not going to disconnect from the grid because it'd be a lot of switching every day. Basically, if you look at night, we'll be 100% like we are today on AEP. And as the sun comes out and the trackers pick up, we'll slowly shift to 100% solar. And then as evening comes, we'll slowly shift back to 100% off the grid. And that'll just be every day. We'll just constantly go like that.
So are there
GCGV's
storage
taking a
though?
big burden off the grid.
Well, that's what I mentioned earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you get those alerts from AEP or whoever your supplier is that says, please don't do laundry tonight, this project will take 100 megawatts of load off of the public grid.
You said that's for about 30,000 residents, that's free.
ERCOT uses a number, and we calculate it to be about 26,000 average Texas homes. Lightsource used a global US number, so I'm assuming in Minnesota, you don't have the HVAC demand that we have in Texas, right? So if you take the global average, sorry, not global, but the US average, it's more homes, it's like 34,000, just because there's less of an electrical demand. You know, in like your heat, you probably use other sources of heat, natural gas and oil and stuff like that.
400,000 solar panels. I'd love to see it.
Well, you can actually go, you can actually go see it. Well, even just right now, you can just drive to Taft High School. I mean, and you just go around county roads and you can see it because there's 7 sections of the arrays and they're just on pieces of land and you can literally just drive up and down the county roads and see everything. And then if you drive from Taft around the east side of Taft, you can see the new power lines that are up. So, I mean, it's not, yeah, you can't go and touch them, but you can get fairly close just looking off a county road and looking at them.
Most of your transmission power that you're putting in is aerial as opposed to.
Yeah, all of the 138 kV from the Peacock substation to the AEP substation that's on GCGV's property is all overhead. On the solar facility, they do have some underground 35,000 volt to get the different sections of panels. They step them up, they convert them to AC, and then they step them up to 35,000 volts. They run them underground to the substation, which then steps it up to 138. So, and that's just, it's just more efficient from you have more space from a construction standpoint if you can do it underground. So, all right, well, thank you everyone.
All
Well,
right.
thank you, Barb, and I did have one final question. Did you just wear those boots just because you were coming here?
Oh, well, these are my favorite. They are so comfortable. So I bought them when I was in Austin, like about 6 months ago. And the first night that I bought them, I walked probably 3 miles in them. I know, and I was, my feet did not hurt at all. So I am like, I am a believer. I love my boots. The only problem is going through airport security. Yeah. So then you all come in. Our next business is. Thank you. Great questions.
Hi, excuse me. My name is Landon Coleman with the News of San Patricio newspaper. And I was wondering if I could have your presentation emailed to me, like the PowerPoint emailed to me. Do you have like a, I don't actually because we just changed our email, like our email tags and stuff, so I don't have business cards with anyone on them yet.
Oh, sure. Well, let me write down your information.
Okay.
I will email it to myself, so it's right there.
Okay. Okay, and my email address is the News of San Patricio, all lowercase.
Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll send it to you.
Okay.
The
News of San Patricio. Yeah. At southtexasnews.com. Yes, ma'am, that's it.
Okay.
And then I will respond to that email, so then you'll have my email and you'll have my cell number as well, so you have all my information. So yes, ma'am, that's it.
Excellent, perfect.
All right, thank you.
Great,
Thank you so much.
And what is your name?
Landon.
Landon, okay, great.
Nice to meet you, Bob. Thank you so much.
Landon, and, sure,
S-A-N-T-O-D-A-N. Yes, ma'am.
No, I've had a handful of every couple of months.
Coleman, Kuhl. M-A-N-N. Yes, ma'am.
Got it, super.
Thank you so much. It was good to meet you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were able to come. I'm so
Yes,
glad I
ma'am.
was able to make it.
Yes, ma'am. I actually live in Portland, just about 5 minutes down the road from Gulf Coast, so.
Have you noticed the facility gone up?
I have, yes, ma'am. I try, like, and you know, every time I drive when I see Gulf Coast and every time I drive, yes, ma'am.
Oh, cool. So you did see that it kind of.
Yes, ma'am. I've seen it slowly progress. Yes, ma'am.
Nice. Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
So, yeah, we have.
That's right, yes, but not many people call Barbara. It's hard to say. Right. Oh, I know, I need to brush up on my sheet. I
They're like, okay, she's nuts.
Right. It is. I will use that. I might even use that tomorrow.
There aren't, but it would be a good secondary income.
So yeah, so he's come on set, he's presented.
Yeah.
Especially about control, and, you know,
Most sheep and goats, themselves, is good to.
yeah, our two outfalls go to Coconut Bay, North, and Green Lake,
So reliant on
south, and,
It's still.
we have a pretty.
There is, you know, I learned recently that, most of the sheep that, is consumed for food is imported from Australia and New Zealand. We don't have that much.
I know the connotation is over another plastic player.
So, it is, I know it's too bad I
We
kind
have yet to find one.
of find that, sheep video, but I'll see if I can, there's a, really great video of the farmers, you know, showing the Peacock Solar